parts of me to savor every kiss. I couldn't face a life without your light. But all of that was ripped apart when you refused to fight. So save your breath, I will not hear. I think I made it very clear. You couldn't hate enough to love. Is that supposed to be enough? I only wish you were my friend, then I could hurt you in the end. I never claimed to be a saint. Ooh, my home was vanished long ago. It took me down the boat to let you go. Welcome back, everybody. We are getting ready to start Unit 3. We're starting Unit 3. We're not getting ready to start Unit 3. This will be the first video lecture in Unit 3. And it is going to be a short one. I know I say that a lot, but this one really is going to be a short one. What I want to talk about in this video lecture is a new, I think you call it a fad. It's a new fad in safety, but it's really nothing new. For the last 10 years, safety professionals have started talking a lot using this catchphrase, prevention through design. Also referred to as safety by design or safety through design. You'll hear, again, this catchphrase, prevention through design. You'll hear safety by design or safety through design also. There are entire conferences devoted just to prevention through design. There's even a fancy little logo that's been developed. And all of the major government agencies that deal with safety, they've put a lot of emphasis on PTD, or prevention through design. NIOSH, OSHA, CDC. But what's really interesting to me is that they're reinventing the wheel, or we are as safety professionals. Prevention through design is what we've been talking about all semester. It's safety engineering. It goes back to the systems safety ideas from Military Standard 882. Now, it's nothing wrong with it, and I'm very happy to see that this way of thinking is becoming more widespread. We need more of this kind of thinking in safety management. We need more safety managers using this kind of approach. Let's design workplaces, equipment, tools so that hazards are eliminated, so that we are preventing the potential for an incident to occur before the worker even sets foot in the workplace. It's what we're getting at with safety engineering and prevention through design. I have no problem with it. I just think it's funny how, and we see this in a lot of different professions, it's something old becomes new again. Something old gets relabeled and it becomes more popular. And again, I think it's great because an engineering approach to safety is the best approach. Again, prevention through design is rooted in system safety. And we have seen this increasing emphasis over the last 10 years. Again, the emphasis on designing safe systems. And by safe systems, we're talking about work processes, facilities like a manufacturing facility, the machines that go into a manufacturing facility, or the machines that are used on a highway construction project. Eliminating hazards at the design stage is what is being promoted through this philosophy, this prevention through design philosophy. But again, it's nothing new. Go back and read Military Standard 882. That's what it was all about. Eliminating hazards to prevent incidents during the design stage. Now, the real emphasis and the greatest effectiveness occurs when we are designing a new machine, a new work system. The initial design of work-related facilities. But there's also some potential benefit from going back and redesigning systems to improve safety. Maybe it's a poultry processing facility that was built in 1990. And there are a lot of hazards in that facility that could be eliminated with a redesign. Now, that's not going to be as cost effective to go back in and retrofit with new, safer machines, redesign the work process. It's not going to be as cost effective perhaps, but it could still have a positive return on investment. It could still be a money maker for the company. More importantly, it can improve worker safety through this type of redesign. But the reality is, companies are in business to make a profit for the most part, so they are only going to be willing to invest if they have a return on investment. The best investment is during that initial design. That's going to give you your biggest bang for the buck. But there can also be profitability realized with the redesign process. Where do we fit into this design process? Either the initial design or the redesign. As safety managers, we don't have engineering degrees for the most part. We are managers. How do we work into this process? Most of the time, we're going to work with architects, engineers, other members of management to develop a design which eliminates as many hazards as possible. A proactive company that values its safety professionals will include those safety professionals in the design team. And when we're talking about designing a new facility, it's a team effort. It's not just one or two people. You're going to have a lot of different professions represented, and you're going to have a lot of people from each of those professions. It's not going to be one architect or one engineer. It's not going to be one manager. It's going to be multiple managers, multiple engineers. You're going to have ideally employees involved from all different levels in the organization. The project manager that was in charge of the design team, if he or she was smart, in my opinion, they're going to get as many workers as possible involved. If you're redesigning an assembly line process that produces commercial air conditioning units, you really should have someone that's been out on the floor assembling these air conditioning units for the last 10 years. They are going to give you a different perspective. So get those frontline people involved. Get your engineers involved. Get your other members of management involved. And the safety professionals should be involved also. And maybe not just one safety professional, maybe multiple safety professionals that would be involved in that initial design. And it's going to be pretty much the same thing for the redesign. Now, the safety professional might actually have more of a role to play because they're going to help identify hazard areas that could be improved, hazards that could be eliminated by the redesign process, in the redesign process. But you are going to be working with other people in this process, and it's going to be a team. Now, redesign is more expensive than building into the initial design. A common question that shows up on certification exams has to do with, when is the best time to build safety into the work process? The best time from a profitability standpoint to build safety into your process is during the initial design phase. And I threw a new term at you there, building safety into the process. Well, that's what we're talking about with designing for safety. We're preventing through design. We're building safety into our work process. And that work process includes a lot of different elements. Going back to the idea of the workplace as a system, a lot of different components have to be considered. Some of you may go to work for companies that promote this prevention through design idea very strongly. Some of you probably won't. But remember, it's safety engineering. We're looking to control at the highest level possible. and as soon as possible. That's the ideal that we shoot for. That's not always going to be achievable, but that's what we shoot for. Prevent through design, engineer out the hazards, make the workplace safe for even the most dangerous workers. Here are a few summary points describing prevention through design, or go along with this prevention through design. And I'm just going to put it up here. It's safety engineering is what we're talking about. It's safety engineering related to the design of workplaces. And it goes back to systems safety. And I'm sure somebody will argue, would want to argue with me on this, but that's fine. I'll argue back all day long. I'll ask them if they read Military Standard 882. And the parallels are so obvious. And many of the ideas used in this prevention through design philosophy, just straight out of system safety. But anyhow, proactive and preventative is what prevention through design is all about. Anticipating the hazards, critical thinking skills. What could hurt someone? What could happen in this scenario? What could happen with machine X? How could work process Y result in an injury or property damage? Thinking through the work process, anticipating the hazards. There's a little bit of hazard analysis going into this also, this process. We haven't talked about risk assessment yet. We're going to talk about risk assessment more in this unit. Risk assessment goes along with hazard analysis. It's another tool from system safety. But anticipate the hazards. This would be hazard analysis, or HA. And anticipate the risk levels. That's going to be the risk. Pardon my acronym there, but I ran out of space. Risk assessment. That's what that stands for there. Risk assessment. Identifying the controls to reduce the risk, implementing those controls during facility and or work process design, ideally. If we can't do it during the design, we can consider redesign for a safer workplace. But again, it's before companies are going to be willing to make that investment, we've got to be able to show that it is going to be profitable for the company. Because most companies are, they have a pretty good moral standing. They don't want their employees to get hurt. But at the end of the day, if it's not going to be profitable for them, a lot of companies are not going to go in and redesign their air conditioning facility or their school bus manufacturing plant or their grain elevator, whatever the process is. It's got to be able to show that it's cost effective. That's also something we're going to do in this unit also. We're going to look, along with our discussion of risk assessment, we're going to talk more about how in many instances what we do as safety professionals is persuade management to invest in change. And when we talk dollars and cents, that gets management's attention better than anything else. If we just go in and talk about it's the right thing to do, we want our workers to go home safe every night, and all of these safety rah do it because it's the right thing mantras. Well, that's all well and good, but you got to for many companies, you got to put it into dollars and cents and show them how it's going to be cost effective for them. Talk about the financial feasibility. Now over here, what we have in the orange boxes are some steps involved in the process. And again, this isn't set in stone, but this is a rough outline of how this process could occur, this prevention through design. We start with an operations plan. What is the process? Are we manufacturing bricks? Well, what is that brick making process? Hazard analysis. And break that operation down into individual components and consider the hazards that go along with each of those components. Then risk assessment. And I'll go ahead and mention what we're doing with risk assessment. Risk assessment is the process where we identify the high priority hazards that we need to control first. We identify the highest risk operations, and then we focus our resources, our attention on getting those fixed first. But again, more on that in the next lecture. We have to demonstrate that it's financially feasible during this process. Once all of this is accomplished, then we can start talking about designing the workplace or redesigning the workplace. Then once the design process is complete, then we work on implementation. And what we're talking about here, this process is not an overnight process. Let's say we have a new tire manufacturing facility that's being built in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Well, the company, if they go through this process, you're looking 5, 7, maybe 10 years through all of these different steps, all of these different processes. It could be less, it could be more, but my point is it's a lengthy process. It's not something that is accomplished over a weekend. You're never going to be sent home on a Friday with the assignment of, hey, redesign our facility and have that design ready to implement on Monday. It doesn't work like that. That's kind of a ludicrous idea now that I think about it. It's a years-long process. Now in Unit 4, we're not going to deal with this anymore in Unit 4 or Unit 3. In Unit 4, I'm going to give you an example of some of the different considerations, some of the different things that would be looked at during the design process. And we're going to focus on designing a safe manufacturing and warehouse facility in that tire manufacturing facility, where they also have a warehouse on site for storing their tires once they're manufactured and before they're sent out to the different buyers and retailers and so on. But that's it for this video. I told you it'd be short. It's going to be less than 20 minutes. But main point here, I just wanted you to be aware of the prevention through design philosophy that is getting a lot of attention in the safety profession, as it should. But again, it's really nothing all that new. It's all built on the systems safety engineering philosophy. All right, I will see you in the next video, and we'll talk about risk assessment.